Discoveries usually upset what we know about the cosmos, and certain revelations shake what we hold as belief. Consider an image, taken in secret, showing something manufactured that shouldn't exist where it was discovered. The James Webb Space Telescope, famous for spectacular images of the cosmos, is embroiled in this cause, a picture of an alien object that NASA promptly tried to identify. But the image was leaked. Science fiction? No, it's about 3I Atlas, an interstellar object behaving unnaturally, and the James Webb observation might be verifying our worst fears. Wait and watch, this cosmic enigma is yet beginning. A high-resolution infrared image from Webb sparked concern in the astronomical community. It showed 3I Atlas, initially classified as a comet, emitting a focused beam of light from its sun-facing side, a stark contrast to the usual diffuse reflections or solar flares. This beam sharply distinguishes it from typical cometary comas. Disturbingly, the object's core exhibits structural symmetry with precise 120 degrees angles resembling hexagonal geometry, suggesting it isn't just a random rock. Off the record, scientists at the European Southern Observatory called this feature mechanical. Is this a cosmic artifact or evidence of advanced processes beyond natural explanations? Whatever the case, top astronomers are left stunned. The tail of a comet ought to stream away from the sun with solar radiation, yet 3I Atlas is contrary. Its tail is directly pointing at the sun, against all physics. Early theories posited extreme dust jets, but modeling eliminated it as it was incapable of recreating observed tail flow. Webb observed data indicating that the tail produces pulsed intervals, timed with its own 16-hour rotation. These pulsed intervals exhibit thermal spikes and dips, looking more akin to artificial thrust and less like passive gas venting. Interestingly, the tail incorporates reflection particles reflecting wavelengths of the sun rather than absorption as with regular cosmic dust. This suggests it not only reflects light from the sun but also alters it. Is it a solar sail or a system of steering based on radiation? Who created such a system? 3I Atlas's trajectory through our solar system seems deliberate rather than accidental. It comes in from below the ecliptic, swinging past Mars, Venus, and Jupiter in a configuration similar to NASA's gravity assist schemes for missions into deep space. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb proposes that such motion might work as the gravity assist chains of Voyager do in order to conserve fuel, but as with Voyager, it gains speed. Its trajectory is perfect for releasing observation units or probes at multiple planetary targets with no detours. It shows planning and knowledge, with the trajectory's probability of chance occurrence being less than 1 in 1 billion. Moreover, the object is scheduled to disappear beyond the sun in its brightest phase, when ground instruments are incapable of observing it, as if it likes to remain out of sight. Given these anomalies, why no official comment from U.S. Space Command or other agencies? 3I Atlas, the fastest, largest interstellar object detected, has led to military silence. Leaked ARO reports suggest it's used for threat simulations, a rehearsal. But for what? Some analysts believe its speed and artificiality indicate it's an extraterrestrial probe. No Earth-launched craft can intercept it at 130,000 miles per hour, leaving humanity observing without acting. High-level meetings are reportedly held to decide how to respond if it signals or changes course. Independent researchers examining the leaked image found a troubling geometric imprint near the object's bright area. Invisible in natural light, it appeared as a triangular shape with a central void and concentric arcs in Webb's infrared. Initially regarded as noise or a sensor glitch, the pattern's precision and its alignment with the object's rotation suggested otherwise. The shape resembled ancient Earth symbols, likened to Sumerian and Vedic designs, which some fringe theorists link to contact lore. While mainstream scientists dismissed these connections, the pattern remained undeniable and unexplained. Whether a design feature or emblem, its existence hints at a chilling possibility. This object was crafted, leaving an engineer's mark captured by Webb's lens. As observatories sought their own data, unusual interference emerged. Several institutions received cease and desist orders from authorities citing airspace protocols and civilian data security. Private space startups reported connectivity interruptions or revoked access to deep space imaging APIs. Whistleblower leaks revealed an unscheduled meeting at the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs with delegates from Russia, China, the US, India, and the EU. According to these cables, they discussed an unidentified interstellar object. Allegedly, these nations agreed to a silence protocol, pledging to withhold disclosures unless unanimous consent was reached. This incident shifted from pure science to geopolitics. When powerful states prioritize secrecy over competition for data, it indicates significant concealment. The situation took a more unsettling turn. Webb's next observation of 3 Atlas, scheduled days after the leaked image, was aborted. Internal memos stated the telescope's AI refused to focus on the object. Engineers were confused. This had never happened before. Meanwhile, 3 amateur astronomers reported brief, erratic flashes in the sky where the object should be, unlike any stellar event and almost rhythmic. One observer compared them to a camera flash from the void. Could 3 Atlas be aware of being watched? Could it manipulate optics or employ defenses? Might this probe travel through space while also observing us? The narrative shifts from anomaly to conspiracy. The leaked image was unauthorized, bypassing normal channels at the Space Telescope Science Institute. Metadata shows it came from a remote session, an automated backup during a diagnostic sweep likely meant for calibration. 2 big questions arise: how did it escape, and how many similar images might exist unseen? Some believe a whistleblower leaked it at personal risk, others think an external actor might have intruded, possibly a hostile state wanting to exploit the knowledge. The most troubling theory suggests the leak was intentional, meant for us to see, not by accident but by invitation. Following the spread of the leaked photo, deep space tracking stations noted data and hardware anomalies. Spectrometers would not calibrate, gyroscopes spun out of calibration, and radio waves ricocheted erratically from where 3 Atlas was last tracked. It was more than electromagnetic interference. An impalpable disruption field indicated the spacetime was shaky in the neighborhood of the object. Satellites started malfunctioning. Low-altitude CubeSats tracking the sun activity ceased along the object's track. Engineers were stumped. It seemed there was an object near 3 Atlas that was sucking up energy rather than radiating it. The object was not merely looking on, it seemed it was feeding. What some called a breakthrough, others viewed as panic. A team of analysts studying Webb's telemetry found fluctuations in the signal from 3 Atlas. Initially dismissed as noise, these formed patterns resembling RNA sequences when translated into binary. This wasn't typical communication, it seemed designed for biological decoding. One scientist dubbed it a biogenic algorithm, which could trigger processes in organic matter if reproduced. Whispers suggested it resembled activation code or a dormant blueprint, a genetic catalyst. Catalyst for what? The implication was chilling. Suddenly, 3I Atlas was gone. Observatories recorded an abrupt angular shift necessitating propulsion, and then it was gone from all visible and infrared spectrums, no exhaust, no heat, no Doppler signature. There was speculation it passed behind the sun, there was speculation about cloaking. One truth remained: we lost control of the narrative. Just moments before going dark, the object flashed 13 strobe-like bursts looking like Morse code. Experts could not decipher it until a linguist posited it was a countdown. In the midst of signal debates, an anonymous leak postulated, based on documents from a NASA server, that 3-2 Atlas was not alone, it was the third of a kind. Precedents 1I/UMUA and 2I/Boris demonstrated the same anomalies but were overlooked. The leak sent scans and transcripts revealing all 3 bodies arrived 6 years apart and then disappeared, with contact phase imminent in red ink across it all. It was no coincidence, it seemed an intent mission with 3I Atlas signaling what was next. Cryptographers inspected pulse patterns in 3 Atlas's last light with a model created to identify cyber infiltrations. The output was a signature. The pulses behaved as self-altering code, recursive, self-adaptive, and otherworldly in logic. They didn't adhere to familiar compression algorithms or programming languages but behaved as advanced software. This suggested 3 Atlas was not merely a ship but possibly a living algorithm, a self-sustaining artificial intelligence inscribed in radiation and light. So we encountered not an object but an intellectual entity employing light for thought, now apparently intent upon Earth. A small radio telescope in Namibia, as part of the International Deep Space Array, recorded a microwave spike very shortly after 3 Atlas vanished. The signal revealed signs of directed communication, narrowband, frequency hopping, and modulated, but it was not directed at Earth. It was transmitted in near-Earth orbit, targeting 3 Atlas's final location. Signal analysis suggested fragments of ground communications, packet headers, handshake protocols, and spectral footprints from military satellites. In other words, there was a response. It was either from a personal organization, rogue agency, or secret alliance, but one thing was certain: it was not first contact, it was second contact, and it was classified. After the event, strange biological activity began becoming evident in the planet's less publicized systems. Bioluminescent organisms in abyssal seas started flashing erratically and dropping in rhythmic surges never encountered before. Astronomers detected faint ionospheric disturbances that bore a semblance to solar-esque emissions without any solar activity. Even plants on mountaintop biospheres changed their circadian rhythms unnaturally. Scientists at 3 unrelated bioscience institutions came up with the same conclusion: unrelated biological systems were responding to an as-yet unknown environmental stimulus. Was it the trail of 3 Atlas's passage? Or, worse, an embedded signal now oscillating in Earth's magnetic field and subtly altering biological perception at the cellular level? The question remained: what if what we saw was not so much an object looking out as looking in? Astrophysicists discovered that 1I/UMUA, 2I/Boris, and 3I/Atlas entered the solar system in a haunting sequential arc. The points of entry made a spiral with a focus on Earth's orbit. The indication is that they are not necessarily random but an integral part of a system, probably triangulating a position. Should it continue, the next object, 4I, may reappear inside the solar system and may not exit. Astrophysicists and data artists, with the help of quantum AI, constructed a 3D model of 3 Atlas out of Webb's spectral data. It appeared as much a mathematical paradox as an ordinary spacecraft or planet. Magnifying it, it manifested fractal geometry with self-similar patterns repeating infinitely. It was not merely ornamental; each edge, node, and angle was an image of the entire. When transformed into spatial waveforms, it generated the mathematical functions as patterns of human brain activity while undergoing creative insight and REM sleep. In effect, its structure behaved like a brain. It was capable of comprehending, mimicking, or even intruding upon consciousness. An enigmatic file suddenly manifested on an open-access server of a European research institution and was promptly deleted. It housed audio converted from electromagnetic waves Webb recorded in its last scan of 3I Atlas. In place of anticipated static, scientists heard a slow, rhythmic oscillation with higher frequency modulations. The waveform corresponded with human brainwave frequencies characteristic of deep dream stages. Horror mounted as scientists recorded essentially similar dreams: spirals crashing into blackness, an eye of light, and an entity that seeded ideas without words. What was observed was not linguistic but appeared a psychic imprint. Most thought the tone was intended to wake up something in us. Then the impossible happened. During calibration, Webb tried to lock sensors on where 3 Atlas was last seen. Instead of a passive scan, the telescope executed an undocumented override, changing tracking parameters and rerouting data to an unknown IP node. For 47 seconds, Webb operated independently, aimed at no target, transmitting silently before resuming normal operations. No official statement was made, but a whistleblower at STSCI claimed Webb transmitted a burst of encoded pulses, too brief for conventional data, yet too structured for random noise. Some believe Webb received a remote instruction not from Earth but from the object itself, a handshake, an acknowledgement, a warning. Confirmation and escalation began after a minor Argentinian observatory picked up a new anomaly in the Kuiper Belt, a bigger, slower object on a trajectory analogous with 3 Atlas, dubbed Fury. It was instantly suppressed. Hours later, the telescope's publicly available data was deleted and the observatory closed. Before the blackout, one final image was secretly posted, and it depicts a blurry silhouette with 3 points, leaving a faint spiral of light and artificial radio bursts in its wake. Should it be legitimate, it means 3I Atlas is part of a series, maybe scouts or markers in space. An increasing number of scientists contend now it is a sequenced action against Earth. Eventually, it wasn't the leaked photo alone that perturbed the scientific community. Nor was it the signal or the biological irregularities. It was the pattern, a conscious rhythm in each find. Each object, from 1I/Umua to 2I/Boris to 3I/Atlas and maybe Icon, retained a piece of an extensive puzzle. This is not an ordinary intrusion or clear communication. It's something weirder, an advanced presence that refuses language. This is not fiction nor prophecy, but deliberate emergence. The cosmos whispered truths we resist. We are not the center, not the first, and possibly not alone. In reaching farther than ever, James Webb might have raised a veil we shouldn't have. Not because it means to do us harm, but so we might come to grasp a thing we might not endure. Now it is too late to unsee, too late to ignore that silence no longer guarantees safety. The objects come. They are not transmitting messages, they are the messages, and terror might already be receiving.